What is going on, you guys, and welcome back to another episode of Natural Hair and True Crime. I just wanted to say I missed y'all so much. I know it's been a minute, y'all. I'm sorry. But welcome to my channel. If you guys are new, my name is Jataia, and here on my channel, I give you guys natural hair content. I do wig reviews, and I also discuss true crime cases while doing my natural hair. So if you are interested in any of those that I just listed, I do recommend that you go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. That way you continue to be updated when I am posting a new video. Now, y'all, I just want to say, okay. Yeah, I am literally, as of right now, I am 8 subscribers away from 300. I'm going to basically speak it into existence. Definitely by the end of next week, I will be at 100. And yeah, when I say I am ecstatic, I am excited. I am so glad that I'm growing. I'm so glad that many of you are discovering my channel and taking time to watch me and to hear what I have to say on these different cases and to watch my reviews, different wigs and things of that nature. I want to say I'm just forever grateful for you guys. I love you guys so much, and I am so appreciative of you guys because I would not be here if it was not for you guys, I swear. But yeah, so in today's video, I'm gonna try not to make this introduction so long. But in today's video, I will be discussing the case of Angel Resendiz, aka the railroad killer. Yeah, so some of y'all probably already know about this case. I've heard of it. Some of y'all, if y'all haven't, y'all in for it. Definitely a crazy case today. I always say that, but y'all, this one probably tops all the cases I've done. This is actually one of the cases that I been wanting when I very first started doing my natural hair and true crime episodes. This is probably one of the very first ones that I wanted. I don't know why it took me so long to do it, but yeah, it's just absolutely one of those cases that's just like it made me question, like, dang, why is this not one of the most talked about cases? But anyway, so the video is probably gonna be long as hell. Must warn you in advance. So if you do, hopefully you have time to watch the whole thing and listen to what I have to say at the end. So if you can, I suggest you go ahead and grab a snack, some water, juice, whatever, and enjoy this video. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it. Okay, you guys, so I'm gonna try to make sure this video is not too long, even though I know it's probably going to be long with all of the different information and stuff. Yeah, I swear I've been wanting to do this case for such a long time now, and I'm finally getting ready to do it. But yeah, so today I'm just going to be putting a clay mask on my hair. My hair is definitely in need of a reset in a way. It's just frizzy, it's not acting right. So hopefully, besides me doing a protein treatment, I'm gonna try this clay mask and see if that helps a little bit. Actually, I'm using the Health and Beauty Aztec Secret Indian Healing Clay. I know a lot of y'all probably use this for not only your hair, face, and I know it's good for other things, but yeah, it's a deep pore cleansing, so it's really good on your face. I maybe tried it one time on my face, but I mainly like to use it for my hair. But yeah, so got some of that and mixed it with some ACV, and this is what it looks like, and so that's what I'm going to be putting on my hair. So yeah, hair is looking all types of wild right now. Just went ahead and wet it a little bit. Also, if you notice, I'm wearing just this old raggedy t-shirt because if you have used a clay mask before, you know it can get kind of messy. I put towels everywhere, well, not everywhere, on my lap and behind me, and just threw on a shirt that I know I don't have to worry about messing up. I mean, just a regular t-shirt. So yeah, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get right into this case. Okay, y'all, so the case that we're discussing today doesn't really have just a set location. Why? For the reason because we're talking about a serial killer. So of course it's not going to be in just one specific location, not necessarily, especially with this serial killer. Now, like I said earlier, this is definitely a infamous serial killer. We're just going to say the case ranges from the US to Canada, just all the way back to even Mexico. So yeah, I mean, this guy was all over the place. Okay. Now, as far as the time step, it's between 1986 to, I want to say, 1999. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into this case. So, his name is Angel Maturino. Y'all, forgive me if I'm saying this wrong. Resendiz. But for the rest of this video, I'm gonna just call him Resendiz, and just be done with it. But yeah, so Resendiz was born August 1st of 1959, and he was born in Mexico. Now, yeah, I'm gonna list exactly where. I just don't want to say it because I don't want to screw it up, because I feel like I'm gonna screw it up. But yeah, he was born in Mexico, a certain part, and it's listed here. He was born the son of Virginia Resendiz. Now, it doesn't really state a lot of information as far as his father and who his father was, but we're going to go ahead and get into the childhood of Resendiz. Now, it's stated that Resendiz, I ain't gonna lie, he kind of, just from reading it, he lived a difficult life, it seems. He was abusive, sexually assaulted multiple times. It wasn't going well for him. So it was stated apparently that Resendiz was physically abused by his mother. Now, at the age of 6, Resendiz was sent to live with his uncle. And from there, it kind of just kept getting worse for Resendiz. His uncle apparently was raping him. And during that time, also, it states that he was sexually assaulted by a local pedophile. So, yeah, I want to say between, I guess, 11 to 13, Raphael ended up moving back with his mom, but also during this time he was beginning to run away from home and kind of started like living on the streets. Now, while he was on the streets, it states that apparently he took up a habit of sniffing glue. Now, I know that is a thing. I don't know why, but yeah, so he ended up sniffing glue, and honestly, y'all, besides that, it was just kind of like a back and forth thing between going home or like leaving, run away from home. According to his mother, Resendiz was either 13 or 14. He was brutally by a group of older guys, I'm assuming in Mexico. Now, starting at the age of 16, Resendiz began to try to enter the U.S. So he tried to enter Texas, and he was caught basically and was sent back. Now, like I said, that was the very first time and the very first attempt of many attempts of him trying to sneak into the U.S. Resendiz suffered a lot of, seems like, physical abuse, like a lot of sexual abuse, unfortunately, from family members and people he didn't know. Right off the jump, you can tell that, his life, it's not a great one. Now, going into his adulthood, so Resendiz is getting into more trouble than it seems like he can handle, honestly. Dude, he's robbing, stealing, he's carjacking, doing drugs. My bad, y'all. Let me backtrack. I always end up forgetting to say something, of course. But yeah, like, now when it came to Resendiz's childhood and his teenage years, it was stated that Resendiz was kind of a loner. He only had a 7th grade education level, so he kind of stayed to himself, and actually, he seldom got in trouble. So I'm sorry, I keep losing my dang train of thought. But okay, let me get back to it. All right, my apologies. But yeah, so what was I saying? Okay, as far as him going into adulthood. Now, okay, so Resendiz is grown up. Just to let y'all know, Resendiz, he's a short fella, okay? So he's 5'7", not tall at all. So just keep that in mind as I go through this story. Just keep that in mind. It states that Resendiz spent a total of 11 years in prison just for various different things, aggravated assault, robbery, firearm possession, burglary, just a bunch of things. Each time that he would be released from prison, he would be deported back to Mexico, because he was doing all of this within the States. So he would be deported back to Mexico, and then, of course, he would eventually come back to the U.S. Yeah, I swear, it's like situations like this, I'm just like, do you not learn your lesson the first time? Now, during all of this, apparently, now I don't know exactly when this happened, so Resendiz actually ends up getting married, and he ends up having a child, but I'll get to that later. So yeah, so now Resendiz is married, and he's actually married to a woman by the name of, I hope I'm saying this right, I'm gonna say Jataia Dominguez Reyes. That's what it says. And so he's going back and forth between Mexico and mainly Texas, but I mean, he does go to different states as well. While he's doing that, he's either going back and giving her money, or he's either mailing her money, sending her money. And yeah, that's just how the dynamic is going. Resendiz was taking the train, sneaking on the trains, taking the trains to get back to the U.S. But he took the train everywhere. Now, like I said before, he was basically an expert at robbing people. Carjacking. I mean, you name it. Basically, he did it. Carrying a firearm, all of that. So he would go to the U.S., take the train throughout the U.S., finding different jobs like farming, whatever somebody needed, like small jobs, he's doing it. Now, y'all, as I discuss basically the list of murders that we know for sure that Resendiz has done, I'm probably more than likely not going to state all of the names. I might state a few, or actually, y'all, I might just say the names. I don't know. It's a lot. If I remember, I'll make sure to say it. If not, y'all know, I'll list everything down in the description box. Okay, but getting right into it. So he's taking the trains. Basically, this is his way of how he gets around. Hence, of course, now you understand why he is known as the railroad killer. Not that he's killing them on the train, but majority of, dang near all of his murders were either right beside the railroad tracks or near them. So, yeah. So let's go ahead and get into in 1986, Bexar County, Texas. So Resendiz is apparently chilling with this homeless woman. Now, her name is actually unidentified. We don't legit know her name, so I can't tell you her name because we don't know ourselves. We just know it was a lady. So a homeless woman and apparently her boyfriend. So according to Resendiz himself, one day they were, I guess, chilling and actually went out to shoot, I guess, at a gun range or wherever. And apparently this woman insulted Resendiz, and he just straight up shot her. And he shot her a total of 4 times with a .38 caliber. Now, as far as her boyfriend, he shot and killed him as well and dumped his body in a creek, I want to say. Now, y'all, like I said, I'm going to make sure to try to list all the sources so y'all can see for y'all selves. But yeah, so that was the first known murder of the railroad killer. Now, going forward, in actually of July of 1991 in San Antonio, Texas, a guy by the name of Michael White. Now, y'all, different sources say different things as far as this guy's murder. So, I mean, one source does say he was beaten with a brick, but another source says he was shot. I'm assuming it probably was both. But long story short, he did kill him. Now, we're actually going to fast forward all the way to the year 1997. Now, y'all, this, according to this is like his next set of murders now. So I'm not saying this was his exact next time that he murdered. I feel like during this time he possibly could have just been killing and they just didn't connect the dots in time or aware that he was killing. Because like I said, he was hopping around from different states, from Texas, Kentucky, Mexico. I mean, he was everywhere, y'all. I'm just saying that. So I'm just warning y'all now. Like I say, it jumps all the way from 1991 to 1997. I feel like he was definitely busy between those years. And yeah. In March of 1997, a runaway teenage couple, Jess Howell, who was 19, and his girlfriend, who was actually 16. So they were actually in Florida. Like I said, the man is everywhere, okay? But so they're in Florida, and they're actually walking beside a railroad track. I guess who appears out of nowhere, Resendiz. And Resendiz actually beats Jesse to death with an air hose coupling, and then he goes to rape Wendy, strangles her, and then suffocates her. Okay, so now we're fasting forward. This is still 1997. It is actually July of 1997. And now we're in California. So the next victim is Roberto Castro. Now Castro at this time is 54 years old. And he is actually a drifter. And unfortunately, he is actually beaten with a piece of plywood that was in a junkyard. So now we go ahead and fast forward to August of 1997. Next victim, Christopher Meyer. So now this actually happens in, I want to say, Lexington, Kentucky. Now Christopher Meyer was, I think, going to college. He was 21 years old, and he was, I want to say, going to the College of Kentucky, University of Kentucky. Now he had a girlfriend by the name of Holly Dunn Pendleton, and I want to say she was 20 years old. They're both going to the University of Kentucky. Now one day Meyer and Pendleton are walking near a railroad, and guess who comes up? Resendiz. So they're minding their business, and all of a sudden Resendiz, I want to say he attacks. I mean, from the way it sounds, he attacked from, you know, behind them. He snuck up on them, you might as well say. So he actually ends up taking a 52-pound rock and crushing Meyer's skull. Then he raped Holly and then severely beat her. But luckily, y'all, Holly did survive this attack. And actually, I personally haven't watched the interview, but I want to say it was actually an interview where she, I guess, talked, and I actually want to say she did write a book, Surviving. Dang, I don't want to tell you the wrong name, but she did actually write a book. I remember. I will make sure to link that book down in the description box as well. So just in case y'all might want to read it, I'm definitely going to read that book. Now that I think about it, I'm probably going to end up buying that book to read, because that's crazy. But yeah, so she survived the attack, and she is actually the only known survivor of the railroad killer. Now we're fasting forward to, I want to say, October of 1998. By the way, y'all, I'm trying to make sure I got this all down, because it's so much to try to remember. I do have my notes and stuff, so I'll make sure I'm not telling y'all the wrong thing. But yeah, so we fasting forward, like I say, just because this is the next known and documented murder doesn't mean he wasn't busy with other ones meantime in between time. Okay, it's just probably haven't been discovered, or the connection wasn't made in order to be documented. But okay, so moving forward to October of 1998, next victim. So now we're back in Texas. I want to say Hughes Spring, Texas. We have Leafy Mason. Resendiz, of course, more than likely, he gets off a train. He scopes out Leafy Mason, 87-year-old woman. Yeah, so he sneaks into her house. He actually ends up sneaking through her window, and he proceeds to beat this woman with an antique flat iron. So that was in October of 1998. Now we're in December of 1998. And the next victim is Fannie Whitney Byers. Now this is actually located in Georgia, and Fannie is actually 81 years old. So basically the same thing happens. Resendiz sneaks into this woman's home and actually beats her with a tire rim. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I know, y'all, that's a lot. Okay, that's Jesus. Okay, that's a lot. Now, but okay, we still going forward. So moving forward, this is actually still in December of 1998. So now Resendiz is back in Texas. Now this specific murder is probably one of the main murders that he was executed for, but I'll get to that, of course, later on. So now the next victim is Claudia Benton, and she is 39 years old. And she is actually a pediatric neurologist who was actually working at the Baylor College of Medicine. Claudia's family, because she was actually married and she had children, but her husband or her kids were actually, I want to say, away visiting family. Now she was unable to go due to her having work, so of course she had to stay back. So she was home alone, and Resendiz proceeds to go in this woman's home. He rapes her, stabs her, and then repeatedly beats her with a statue. So after this happens, Resendiz, he's on his way, but now, of course, because she's expected to be at work, co-workers and friends are actually, they're calling her and they're looking for her, and they're not getting a sign. So of course they call police out to the scene, And unfortunately, of course, they have to witness this very gruesome scene. Now, as police are at this crime scene, now I didn't mention before, now with all of these murders, Resendiz is very disorganized. I mean, he's basically all over the place, as you can tell, his victims and their age and the location and how he's killing each of these victims. So, of course, he's kind of just, he's sporadic. He's everywhere. He's all over the place, obviously. So, you know, with somebody like that, they're not really worried or paying attention or cleaning up after themselves to cover their tail. Even though he's a serial killer, obviously, by now, he's a full-blown serial killer. But I guess what I'm saying, he's not a very smart one. But anyway, the reason why I'm saying this is because, so he's disorganized, so he's leaving prints everywhere. So after he murdered Claudia Benton, of course, the investigators, they see the scene, they call out crime scene. The crime scene unit, of course, they are getting fingerprints everywhere. Fortunately, because he's not cleaning up after himself. So I actually want to say there was an eaten apple, an eaten banana. I mean, he had obviously been staying there before he decided to leave. And he just didn't clean up after himself. It was just like he living there, had fingerprints everywhere, and then he just dipped. So, luckily with that, it didn't take no time for the FBI to realize who this person was. Of course, with fingerprints and just DNA evidence, finally, they are a step closer to capturing him. Now, y'all, why even with all of this going on, do y'all realize? So we're gonna head, okay, it's December 1988. Finally, it's 1999. So while all of this is going on, he has a wife back home and she's actually pregnant. So he ends up going back to Mexico, just, you know, chilling out for a little bit, waiting on the birth of his daughter. His wife has the daughter, and now he's at home just for a little bit. Exactly what I said, a little bit, and he's right back at what he's doing. He's right back in the U.S., in Texas, and proceeding to do what he does. Okay. Moving forward, in May of 1999, Resendiz is back at it again. So once again, he's on the train, hops off, and he sneaks in and enters the home of 46-year-old Norman Cernick, I want to say, and 47-year-old Karen Cernick. Now, Norman is actually a pastor. He actually lives behind, I want to say, the church that he's the pastor of. Now, this church just so happens, of course, to be right across from a railroad. Makes sense. So Resendiz proceeds to enter the home and beat both Norman and Karen with a sledgehammer. As he enters these homes, he murders these people, and then he either stays in home, he robs them, steals all types of jewelry from them, eats their food, and then he proceeds to, when he steals their jewelry, he proceeds to mail them back home to his wife. Yeah, it's absolutely insane, y'all. It's I don't know. It's very, very disturbing. So after that, he's gotten whatever he's come to get from him, and he proceeds to his next victim. So he's actually captured by Immigration and Naturalization Service. So they catch him and they end up, I want to say, deporting him back to Mexico. Now this was June 1st of 1999. They actually allowed him to go back home, go back to Mexico, but I want to say it was stated that literally 2 days later, he was back in the U.S. again. Like when I tell y'all, this man don't learn his lesson. So yeah, he's back into the U.S. and now we'll go ahead and we're fasting forward to June 4th. Next victim is Naomi Dominguez, I want to say. Naomi is actually 26 years of age, and this is actually located in Houston, Texas. Dominguez was actually a school teacher with the Houston district. 26 years old, your life is literally just ahead of you. Your school teacher, it's just sad. But yeah, so Dominguez, Jesus. So Resendiz sneaks into the woman's apartment and then beats her with a pig's axe, it states. Okay. So then after that, he ends up stealing her car. I think she was driving a white Honda Civic. So he steals her car, and now we're gonna go ahead and go to the next victim. So Resendiz is still in Texas, but he's actually in Dubina, Texas. And now he's on to his next victim, which is Josephine, hold on y'all, Convica. Y'all, I'm sorry. This is why I don't want to say the names, because I do not want to butcher, because I understand when people butcher my name. He actually ends up sneaking into her house, and actually this time he uses the same murder weapon that he just used on his previous victim, Naomi. He uses the same pickaxe to murder her as well. Now, of course, he's there, he's doing whatever he does, robbing her or whatever the reason why he's snuck into her home to stay there, eat her food, whatever. After he's, I'm assuming, done that, he actually ends up trying to, I want to say, steal her car, but he was unsuccessful because he couldn't find the keys, so he just left. And Josephine was actually 73 years old at the time. Now, by this time, around June 14th, 1999, basically, you know, the Los Angeles Police Department, FBI, they are on his tail. Like, they are connecting the dots of these different murders in different places, and they are finally cracking down as much as they can on who this person is. So definitely by this time, of course, he's on America's Most Wanted, and I want to say at a point in time he was up there with Osama bin Laden. So finally they cracking down, but of course that's not stopping Resendiz. He's still going on with what he's doing. Okay, so we go ahead and we're fasting forward to June 15th of 1999. Remember, like I say, June 14th, they really, like, I want to say they were making news reports, or like just letting it be known that they're looking for this person and he's out there. But of course, Resendiz, he's going on with his life. So June 15th of 1999, his next victim is 80-year-old George Morber. And this is actually in Illinois. Y'all, like I say, the man is everywhere. It's scary, okay? So of course, y'all already get the routine of Resendiz and how he basically scoped out his victims. So he gets off the railroad train. Now, according to where George lived, it was actually, I want to say, 100 feet from the railroad tracks. Yeah, I swear. I mean, if I was living in that era and I lived by some tracks, I'm finna have to go. I'm finna have to move. I'm sorry. I got to go. But yeah, so he enters this man home and he shoots him in the head. So after that, we're actually going to move on to the next victim. This is the same day, and y'all, this is the last victim that I'm going to discuss that is at least reported anyway, because like I said, who knows, it was probably way more out there, but this is the last known victim. We move on to the same day, June 15th of 1999, and the last and final victim for this video is 52-year-old Carolyn Frederick. Now Carolyn is actually the daughter of George Morber Sr., so of course this is going to make sense. So Carolyn was actually going over there to check on her father, assuming she would probably call him, trying to get a hold of him, or she was just doing her routine of going over there to check on him. I mean, he was 80 years old, especially if he lives by himself. It makes sense. So she goes over there, and of course Resendiz is still there in the house, so he ends up beating her with the gun that he used to kill George. Now, y'all, when I was researching this one, y'all, this was so jacked up. I mean, he didn't shoot her in anything, but he beat her so bad to the point where the gun that he was using to pistol whip her broke in half. Yes. When I read that, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, what is wrong? Like, clearly something like this, I mean, the ways of his murders is just, he got some built up anger. So, like I said, that's the end, as far as we know, of his killing spree. Now, I know a lot of y'all are probably asking, how was he finally caught? So, apparently, the Texas Ranger, they actually ended up working with his family and mainly his sister and his wife, to try to talk to him and convincing him to turn himself in. Y'all get this, because they were worried for his safety and him being harmed. Talking about Resendiz here, the man who beat a man to death with a 52-pound rock. The same man who stabbed a woman to death, beat her with a statue. The same man who beat a woman with a pickaxe. This same man, they were worried for his safety. So they agreed, as long as the Texas Ranger agreed to keep him, safe, and nothing was going to happen to him, because at this time he was definitely up there with America's Most Wanted. And of course, by this time it was bounty hunters out there, of course, wanting him dead or alive. Okay, so it was that type of situation. So they were worried for his safety, knowing what he did, because they were fully aware. So they made this agreement, and his sister talked him into turning himself in. So by this time he was in Mexico hiding. And actually on July 13th of 1999, Resendiz was escorted to the border, I want to say El Paso, Texas. Crossed the border to El Paso, Texas. But he was escorted by his sister, I want to say some more family members, and his pastor. Escorted and met up with Texas Ranger. So he crossed the border, walked up to him, and held out his hand, and they shook hands, and he took him in. And that was it. And on July 13th of 1999, the official killing spree of Angel Resendiz, aka the Railroad Killer, had officially come to an end. I know a lot of y'all are thinking, what the hell? What's the point? What was the reason? Why did he do this? What caused him to beat these people? And why? And y'all, I'm thinking the same thing. Besides the obvious reasons of him actually doing it is to break into their homes, to rob them, and take their food, stay there. Apparently it was different reasons why he did the killing. Like with his very first victim, like I said, the homeless woman, he killed her because she insulted him. His next victim, Michael White, because I want to say when I researched that one, his reason is because he was homosexual. And one of the sources I want to say states that according to him, God had ordered him to destroy abortion clinics before an evil compelled him to kill at random. Y'all, I don't know. It sounds like a lot of BS to me. A lot of things to make it seem like you're insane. Come on now, nah. So, I mean, he was actually pleading not guilty. He was actually claiming that he was half angel, half human. And the Lord sent him down to basically, long story short, get rid of certain people for that you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm getting at. That's how he was playing it. But like I said before, I mean, the main reasons why he was doing it, because he was breaking in folks' homes, stealing their money, stealing their jewelry, eating their food, staying in their places. So instead, I just don't understand. But yeah, he found that was the easiest way to get what he wanted, is to break into a home of people who already had it. So we fast and forward now. We're finna go ahead and get into the trial. So one of the main trials, like I said, he was in Texas for the murder of Claudia Benton. Y'all remember the pediatric neurologist. So as we finally get into the trials and stuff, I just want to go ahead and let y'all know now, it's a lot of prolonging of these trials. Okay, I would just say that. Seems to me as I'm researching it. So we're going to actually go ahead and talk about the trial procedural history. So in May of 2000, the jury found Resendiz guilty of capital murder, and he was actually sentenced to death. Okay. Now, I'm going to let y'all know, between the years of 2003 to 2005, what I forgot to mention, so on May 21st of 2003, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals affirmed conviction. Now, between the years of 2003 to 2005, Resendiz filed a petition for writ of certiorari. Hopefully I pronounced that right. If not, I'm going to put it here along with a quick definition of it, because it was actually my first time hearing this. So I was just I didn't understand quite what it was. But yeah, so he filed one of those. He also filed for an application for both a state and federal habeas relief. Now, y'all, with all of this filing, he was denied all of it. Now, on September 7th of 2005, the U.S. District Court entered a final decision. Of course, Resendiz like I said, I don't know if he's just trying to prolong the time or what. So on November 15th of 2005, Resendiz actually files for a motion to reopen, time to file a nature of appeal. Just another thing. But anyway, he was denied. And finally, on June 27th of 2006, Angel Resendiz, aka the Railroad Killer, was finally sentenced to death by lethal injection. Now, it stated that Resendiz declined his last meal. A bunch of the victim's family members, as well as Resendiz's family, had come into, y'all forgot the name of the room. I don't know, I'm always forgetting it, but it's right, literally on the top of my head too. But you know the room when you're basically finna be put to. So all of them filled the room, and it was said that Resendiz, he was laying on the table. They basically asked him, did he have any last final words? And this was his final words. I wasn't able to, I ain't try to remember it, so I'm just gonna read it off to you, what he said. So apparently his last words were, I want to ask if it is in your heart to forgive me. You don't have to. I know I allowed the devil to rule my life. I just ask you to forgive me and ask the Lord to forgive me for allowing the devil to deceive me. So yeah, anywho, at exactly 7:58 p.m. on June 27th of 2006, the lethal injection was administered into Resendiz, and exactly 7 minutes later, Resendiz was pronounced deceased. And yeah, that concludes as far as the case goes. Y'all, it is so much, so much that I just, it is mind blown. Like, I am shocked, y'all, when I say I cannot believe this case is not talked about often. It is so crazy. So we're just gonna go ahead and discuss, well, basically my thoughts on this case, what I came down to, what I concluded. First of all, what I want to say is he was very, honestly, he was an angry man. That's all I could think of. I understand, going back to his childhood, how he was just, it seems like he was taking L after L, constantly either being physically abused, sexually abused, all of that. It just took a toll on him, and he just happened to lose it. Now, I don't know. I feel like, anytime that has happened where he's dealing with childhood trauma, then you mix drugs into the situation. Then when it was saying that he was sniffing glue, I don't think that helped with his brain cells as well. So I feel like he just had a lot going on, and he just went into complete just psycho mode. That is my opinion. My main question is, do I feel like he's insane? Yes and no. I feel like he's insane as far as how he was just killing people and the ways that he was killing the victims and just stealing stuff. Like, yeah, I feel like he was insane there, but I feel like he was actually insane, because it said that he was, pleading insanity. But of course, that, sir, you did this way too many times to think you just didn't know what you were doing, okay? Even though his methods were very sloppy, it still has some type of thought into it, okay? Which I'll get into a sec. But yeah, I feel like in that case, he was not insane. He didn't have no issue, because he knew what he was doing. The fact that he apologized at the end, he accepted, and he wanted to apologize. The fact that he was actually scared, because by the way, it does state that he was just trembling when he was getting ready to be injected. He knew what he was doing. He understood what was about to happen for him because of what he did. So yeah, and as far as the parts of why I feel like it took so long for him to be captured, of course, which we already know now why it took so long, because dude was everywhere. You didn't know where he was gonna go, and that's another one of the scary parts about it. I mean, he was literally from Illinois, Texas, Florida, Kentucky. He was everywhere. Honestly, he didn't know himself where he was going. He was just, seems like he was hiking a train, and from what his family probably thought back then, he was just catching a train, going to different states looking for, you know, serious labor work to bring back to his family, when actually no, he was on a completely whole other job. He had found his way of living, apparently, and it was probably one of the most sickest and disgusting and disturbing ways there was. He was killing people, stealing their money, their jewelry, whatever, and then shipping it or bringing it back to Mexico to his family. That is absolutely insane. He's not your average serial killer, I'm gonna say that. He's a serial killer, oh yes, definitely, but he's not average. And I say that because he was just kind of like willy-nilly, going with the flow, like not caring who his next victim was. He was just like, hey, I'm taking the train, get off. He was smart in some cases, but the cases that mattered the most to keep him from not being caught, he wasn't smart in. To me, he was killing because he needed these things, I guess, but instead of working for him, he wanted to take the easy way out, I guess. Yeah, I don't know, it's just weird. With Resendiz, I mean, it was just the complete opposite. Like I say, it's weird because fortunately, even though he was disorganized, finally the FBI were able to get a jump on it and figure out who it was through DNA and fingerprints. Even though, I mean, he was eventually caught because of that. He got away with it for a long time. You have to think, from 1986 all the way to 1999, over a decade of doing this and not being caught. And still, honestly, they wouldn't have caught him without the help of his family convincing him to turn himself in. That's crazy. And it's like so weird, y'all. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, I understand it, but I don't. Like, the part of him having to kill these people. Like, we just gonna get into that. Like, how he was, as y'all can see, it didn't matter what age, if you were male or female, it didn't matter to him. He was just killing just to kill. Now, like with some of the murders, it didn't make sense, especially the couples, because he didn't really, like, he just killed them. He ended up raping the girlfriend, like I said, only survivor. But he, like, as far as the couples by the railroad, like, I don't know what he was, kill them, take their money, but still, the way, y'all, do y'all not see the ways that he was killing people? Like, this is how I know it was some issues, but like I said, he was still smart. Like, he knew what he was doing, but it was still some issues there, obviously. Like, the fact that he's just didn't care. Like, his victims ranging from 16 to 87 years old. Male, female, you killing them with anything you get your hands on. Y'all, like, when I was going through the list and seeing how these people were killed, I'm thinking, like, okay, because, you know, with most of these stories I read about serial killers, they have a certain way that they kill people, and they usually stick to that consecutively, and they don't really change up their method. But with this one, which is another reason probably why it took so long for them to figure out who this was, besides, you know, discovering it from DNA, and because he was all over the place. You got him killing in one state, like being a person with a 52-pound rock, going to another state, beating them with a statue, going to another state, beating them with a pickaxe, then stealing their car. It's just all over the place. It's not a certain method to it. Y'all, I'm sorry, my voice is trying to go out. But yeah, it's just everywhere. It's not like, you know, Jeffrey Dahmer, he goes to a certain place. Like, and I don't know why I keep comparing it to. I'm just trying to compare different serial killers and why, I guess, you know, one is famous but why he is not. But still, like, you know, you got Jeffrey Dahmer, he's scoping out his victims at a gay bar, or he's going to a certain place mostly every single time. He's staying in one place and he's getting his victims. And that's what I say he's smart at. He's smart enough to know to pick his victims. Because like I say, he's a short man. And, you know, when I was reading up on the victims, okay, I'm like, okay, it makes sense why he's choosing, like, some of these victims are like 80-some years old and some of these victims are women. He's smart in that sense. Not necessarily, you know, like covering his tracks, but not that he probably cares. He's just like, hey man, I'm trying to get it how I live, which I ain't. Weird way to try to get it how you live, but I mean, it clearly also stated that his victims, majority of them, weren't tall. Like, again, like I say, it makes sense because it would be very difficult for him at 5'7" to try to take down 6 foot, not saying that he couldn't do it, but it's just, it makes sense. Majority of his victims were small, or he either got them when they were in their element, unknowingly, chill, not expecting to somebody break in their home and beat them with a damn statue, things like that. So he was very smart in picking out his victims, scoping out. He knew how to get off the train. He knew how to pick a house that, okay, he could get away with killing this person and somehow not causing any trouble. Majority of his victims, if you look up the location, it states either they were walking by the railroad or their house was right by the railroad. Hence, of course, that's why he got the name, the Railroad Killer. That's still one of the biggest questions. Why kill somebody, and why kill them in the way that he killed them? I feel like it was some type of anger there. Because, usually with a burglar, even if you are going to kill your victim, you usually shoot them and then you out. Shoot them, take they steal, grab whatever you're going to grab, and you gone. But he took the time to use objects to beat these people with. Instead of, like I just said, he's 5'7", he's short. So his best bet is having some type of gun if he's going to do this. But instead, he kills with some of them. He used a gun with some of them, but majority of them, he's using objects. And I don't know if this is why. This is because at the time, he couldn't get a gun, because every time he would go to jail, it'd be confiscated or whatever. But it's just weird to me, like, why kill these people in these different ways? I mean, he used anything he could get his hands on. When I tell y'all this, I was just like, what? It was just like the dude hopped off the train, like, how I'm gonna kill this person today? Like, it's insane. And then, y'all, the fact that he had the audacity to plead and pray, because that's another thing they were saying. He was praying, I think in Hebrew or something. He was praying. And I'm just like, you did, like, what he did was not normal, y'all. I'm gonna just say that now. Especially how he decided to kill these people. And yet he has the audacity to pray and ask them to pray for him and ask for the Lord to forgive him for what he did. Now, obviously, on that part, he got to be delusional. Okay? I mean, you just depending on what you believe in, okay, yeah, you ask for forgiveness and pray and, repent your sins. Sir, you done killed, 16 victims, and that's just was documented. Because apparently, according to sources as well, he could have just has been responsible for, actually, I want to say they said around 200 or something. I don't know if that's correct. In Mexico, that had fit the kind of the same method as Resendiz, bodies left beside the railroad, beaten with different objects. So who knows how many victims he had, okay? Who knows? But to think that you, sir, I don't know what you believe in. I don't know what you think is going to happen. But I don't think prayer is going to help you at this point. That's just my opinion. Sorry. I don't think it's going to help you. This man just murdered a bunch of people. And we're not saying, like, just murder. He murdered him in the most just gruesome ways to murder a person. Okay? Because I don't know if in their head they thinking, well, he was just trying to provide. Y'all, it's different ways of providing for your family or, showing your appreciation, giving them gifts, sending them gifts, money. There's different ways of doing it than killing people, okay? I don't know. I really wanted to sit down and think, like, I just felt like he had a lot of anger built up from like, you know, previous just childhood trauma, and he just exploded multiple times. He exploded. And I don't know, like, just going to the victims. First of all, I just want to say I want to send multiple prayers for every single victim, known and unknown, that who believe that they family member might have been a victim of the railroad killer. I just want to send prayers to each and every single one of y'all, because I cannot imagine just the trauma. And like, this is something that you will probably, like, will forever probably play in your head, even if you weren't there to see it, but you just know that it happened to the heads of this bad. I just want to, like, send prayers for real. Like, you literally, if you're watching this, like, just take a second, a moment of silence for these victims. Take a moment of silence and pray just for the surviving victim, Miss Pendleton. I just, like I said, I cannot imagine. And my heart goes out to each and every single one of y'all. And I am so sorry that this had to happen. As far as infamous serial killers, like I said, I don't understand why this is not talked about like more often than other famous serial killers, because this one is crazy, y'all. This is a crazy case, okay? And what's even more crazy is, y'all, the reason what made me even want to talk about this case in the first place is, so I was actually on Facebook one day, and y'all, when I say this is so weird, and when I researched it, I was just like, oh my gosh, we just never know. But I was on Facebook, right? And I want to say, one of my cousins, they had, oh, she's an older lady. She posted a picture of this man, Resendiz, and it was like, I want to say, she had asked a question. She was like, who remembers seeing this man in the late 1990s getting off, you know, around the railroad track and going into Save-Mart? Now, y'all, if you are from my old town, and you from Arkansas, and if you are actually from McGee, you know there's a railroad that runs through McGee. And when I read that, because at the time I have never heard of this case, so I was just like, damn, who is this? So I'll go, you know, doing my research, because, you know, anything that pertains to true crime, I'm basically dang near on it, and I'm researching it. So I go to research this, and I'm just like, his name was the railroad killer, and I'm just like, wait, what? Y'all, I'm over here like, that is absolutely insane. Now, I'm just thinking, why would she lie about some shit like that? But she distinctively, she was asking, like, who remembers? And I'm just like, you know, of course, I was like, obviously not born around the time. Well, actually, yeah, I was born, because, I mean, I was born in 97, but thank God he was, well, not even thank God. I mean, he was, I guess, wherever he was. But just, y'all, it's just crazy, because you just think, like, you hear about these cases every single day. I mean, you hear about killing every single day, even in my state. But it's just like, when it comes to, like, things like that, serial killers like that, I mean, it's crazy and it's insane. But like I said, the dude was everywhere. So when I say he was taking the train and just getting off anywhere, that's exactly what he was doing. So yeah, I just wanted to give that little quick crazy fact that I read, that, like, what made me even actually initiate or even want to do this case and, like, discover it. That is why. And I was just like, yeah, I gotta do a video on this, because it's crazy. It's actually crazy. But yeah, so I know this video is probably going to be long as heck. I got a whole bunch more I can think of, but I'm gonna leave that to y'all, because I want y'all to give me y'all's thoughts. Have y'all heard of this case before? If y'all haven't and y'all just not hearing about the case, what do y'all think? Do you feel like the man was insane? Like legit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Do you feel like a lot of this stemmed from his childhood, just a lot of this anger? Do you feel like he was just one of those where he done it before and he realized he wasn't caught yet, so he felt like he can continue to do this, and it was just an easy way to get money and steal from people? Like, for real, I want to know y'all's thoughts on this. A very, very sad case, very tragic case with a bunch of victims that clearly did not deserve this. I was researching this case and I'm just like, it can't get no worse. It can't get no worse. And it just kept rating victim after victim after victim. Just like, it's too much. But yeah, anyway, so that, I'm just go ahead and cut this video here. Comment down below what y'all think. Have y'all heard of this case? If not, please make sure to, I'm gonna link my sources down in the description box. Go research this case for yourself, then come back and let me know what y'all thinking. Like, because I mean, it's actually a whole lot more to it, but this video would probably be like 2 hours long if I tried to like go through every single thing. So yeah, just read up on this case for yourself and just let me know. But yeah, so that's actually all for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much. If you actually made it to the end of the video and you stayed for the video, I want to say thank you so much for that. I appreciate you guys. Definitely do not forget to like this video, comment on this video, and subscribe to my channel because it helps the YouTube algorithm a lot for me. Once again, thank you guys so much. I love y'all. Continue to stay safe, please, and I will see you in my next video.